and members of the Distinguished Pension Subcommittee. I want to thank you for allowing me to present Senate Bill 68. This legislation would allow the members of the Crisfield Police Department to participate in the law enforcement officers' pension system. And if I could share with my colleagues, this is a priority local bill that is absolutely essential to recruitment and retention of the Crisfield Police Department. A little bit of background and a note of appreciation. This subcommittee, full committee, was so helpful last year when it was passed unanimously through the Senate. And we are grateful for that support last year and would appreciate your support again this year. We ran out of time on the House side, so made the decision, working with the mayor and the police chief, to pre-file the bill to make sure there was adequate time on both sides to move it. It's absolutely essential that it passes this session. As way of background, some of you might recall that Crisfield Police Chief David D'Afonso had been working very diligently with officials from the Maryland Retirement and Pension System since September of 2021. After he received approval from the former mayor and the city council for the police department to apply and enter LEOPS. Ms. Ann Gothrop, our Director of Legislative Affairs at the Maryland Retirement and Pension System, has been immensely helpful throughout this entire process, and she is here today to answer any questions related to SB 68. And I personally want to thank her for taking our questions, walking us through this process, especially when it's a first time for some of our local officials. During this process, Chief D'Afonso was informed that legislation was required for the Crisfield Police Department to participate in LEOPS, as the city of Crisfield currently is participating in a non-contributory retirement system. Both former Chief D'Afonso and current Crisfield Police Chief Rick Taylor have stressed that securing LEOPS for the officers of the Crisfield Police Department is a key tool to retain and recruit the Crisfield Police Department workforce. This important bill also will allow the Crisfield Police to remain competitive with the neighboring law enforcement agencies and jurisdictions during a rampant law enforcement shortage across the shore and the entire state of Maryland. You will hear from both Crisfield Mayor Darlene Taylor and from Crisfield Police Chief Rick Taylor about the ongoing challenges of the Crisfield Police Department. This was an important enough issue that we also have with us two of our Crisfield Council members, Eric Banks and Laverne Johnson, and also we have with us Captain Lonnie Lukey with the Crisfield Police Department. I also wanted to say that we were very encouraged that we received letters of support from the Sheriff Department in Somerset County, also from the Somerset County Commissioners, as well as a neighboring county, Wycomico County Executive, Julie Giordano, which shows that we support each other regionally with our law enforcement needs. Again, I want to personally thank you, Chair Jackson, and the members of this subcommittee that have been so helpful to us in the past, and just let you know this is my local priority bill, and you'll understand why it's so important to Crisfield. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Senator Carrozza. Your next speaker, it's whatever order you'd like to go. Madam Mayor.
Good morning.
Welcome.
And thank you very much for this opportunity. I would like to say good morning to the chair and to the distinguished members of this pension subcommittee. And I want to thank you for this opportunity to be before you today. I want to thank you for your support of our community and of everything that we have tried to do. And a special thank you to the senator for bringing this forward. I bring you greetings from Crisfield, home of the J. Miller Tall's Clam Bake. And I invite you to come anytime. We have so many assets. And so I'm here today because I am the newly elected mayor of Crisfield. Having been the very first African American, the first female elected For me, I spent 20 years working for a defense contractor. Top secret, SCI clearance, I understand sacrifice and service. When I returned home to my community and started a nonprofit, I was highly engaged in the community. June the 22nd of 22, I was elected mayor. And one of the first things that I was told is that it is so difficult to recruit and retain good police officers. And for me, the priority is safety in our community. And so I realized, I was told we had only 6 of the 12 slots that we needed to be filled. And I wanted to know why. I was told a big part of that problem is because we were not able to participate in LEOPS. And so the reason they said is because we're in a non-contributory plan. For me, they told me a story that changed the urgency. And so what I'd like to do today is quickly share with you the story that made all the difference for me. And then I'll turn it over to the police chief and allow him to tell you the details of the impacts of not being able to recruit and retain good police officers. For me, I was told the story of one of our lieutenants, Lieutenant James Parkinson. We call him JP. He is a local hometown hero. He has been on the Crisfield Police Force for 34 years. Like me, he was born and raised in Crisfield, and so he does not want to leave. Everyone loves him. They see him as a great police officer, a great role model for our kids. So what I found out is if JP retires tomorrow, after 34 years, he will only receive about $1,100 a month. And so for any officer that wakes up every morning, puts on that uniform, and puts his life on the line, for me, that is totally unacceptable. And for everyone that I told that story to, that is unacceptable. JP has 4 sons. He lives in Crisfield, and one of those sons is just 17 years old. So he's still in school. But someday, of course, JP would like to retire. He also has a special needs son. And so his care will be, he will have to continue to have care for him. So he needs more than a pittance. I mean, there is absolutely no reason why we can't correct the situation. It was a situation that was put into place many years ago, a flawed leadership decision, but we're at a position that we really want to be able to support our law enforcement officers. So we want to make sure that they are able to have something that they can survive on after all of their years of service and sacrifice to our community. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to our police chief, who actually has been with our department for 17 years, but he just became the police chief along with me last year, but a little before me in April. So he can tell you the details of the true impacts of not having this system.
All right, and Chief, before you go forward, for folks who are here testifying today, we will have a time limit on the testimony from everyone except for the sponsor of the bill. And I just want folks in the room to know, and members of the committee who were not on the committee last year, we are in support. We have been in support of this bill. We supported this last year. So as we move forward, we've been joined by Senator Benson, who is new to budget and taxation in the committee, as well as John Ray Stallings. So, Chief.
Thank you, Chair Jackson. And again, thank you for all of your support. Good morning, Chair Jackson, as well as the distinguished members of the Pension Subcommittee. Again, I am Chief Rick Taylor, and like Mayor Taylor told you, Crisfield is actually slated for 12 officers, but as of today, including myself, we currently only have 7. With only having 7 officers on the entire force, oftentimes we only have 1 officer working at a time, which ultimately requires us to ask the sheriff's office to step in and help cover us during different circumstances and situations. I came in at badge number 133 in 2006. I've seen 39 people come and go from the Crisfield Police Department in the last 17 years. Of a 12-man department, I've seen 39 come and go. In the last year alone, we lost 4 officers because of LEOPS. They went to other agencies that could offer them LEOPS. When I reach out to my officers that are still with me and say, hey, you guys know anybody? Do you have any referrals? They tell me, Chief, people would love to come here, but you can't offer them a retirement, and they're not willing to apply. All right? Not only do we need officers, but we need quality officers. In the last year, we've processed 5 people for hire and not been able to onboard any of those 5 due to various personnel issues. It is extremely difficult to hire and to locate and hire minority officers as well. Again, we had 3 of them in the pipeline, but we don't offer LEOPs. So oftentimes, at the last minute, they get picked up by another agency. One example, we recently hired a minority officer. He was supposed to start with us January 23rd. He called me up right after New Year's, says, "Chief, I'm sorry, but I've decided to take a position with Princess Anne Police Department. They can offer me LEOPs." All of our neighboring law enforcement agencies currently have LEOPs. So Princess Anne Police, UMES Police, Somerset Sheriff's Office, Fruitland Police, and Pocomoke Police Departments all have LEOPs. You have to pass either 2 or 3 of those, any one of those agencies, to get to Crisfield. And we just don't, we can't compete with that, okay? So we know that LEOPs is not going to be a cure-all for all of our recruitment and retention issues, but it will help us in leveling the playing field. And we implore you guys to assist us in leveling that playing field so that we can be a more competitive agency and offer more for qualified applicants.
All right, thank you, Chief. That concludes our testimony. Do we have any questions from the committee? Any questions? I will say this. As the former sheriff of Prince George's County and a law enforcement officer myself, we have Senator Bailey as former law enforcement as well. We definitely understand the challenges that every agency faces, and if we can be a part of you rectifying that challenge, that's what we're here for. So, thank you very much. Senator Benson.
Thank you all this morning for your testimony. I heard the mayor speak of $1,100. Where does that come from? The Crisfield itself?
It would be the non-contributory plan. That's what he would get unless we're able to change it.
You have a non-contributory plan?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you.
Certainly.
Senator Bailey.
Chief, just briefly, I take it all your officers would go to Warwick for their training?
Yes, sir, that's correct. Most of them have all gone to Warwick. My captain was retired from Baltimore City. I know he went through the academy there, but.
And the way that I understand it, everybody else in your jurisdiction has LEOPs. So when you send an officer, a candidate to Warwick, they're pretty much handpicked by one of these other departments.
Oftentimes. I can tell you, Senator Bailey, one quick story. So I had a Hispanic female, bilingual Hispanic female, that had been hired, the first in the history of Crisfield. She was out of the graduated, was out of the academy, I want to say 8 months, and Fruitland Police bought out her contract.
Coming from a rural area, we've experienced some of the same thing, and definitely be in support of your bill.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that.
All right, thank you. Senator Hellerman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a quick question. So $1,100 a month now, what would it be under LEOPs?
Chief?
So I don't have exact figures. I can tell you the approximate amount would be roughly $3,000 a month.
Okay, thanks so much.
All right. Thank you, Senator Carrozza.
Mr. Chair, I want
Yes.
to thank you for your courtesy, also allowing our Crisfield mayor and police chief to go first and testify. Thank you for that courtesy.
Absolutely. We appreciate your service. Thank you all very much, and we will be in touch.
Thank you.
Thanks again.
All right, take care. That concludes testimony for Senate Bill 68. Next up, we'll have Senator McCray and Senate Bill 6, Maryland Teachers and State Employees Supplemental Retirement Plans, Automatic Enrollment. Senator McCray. Thanks, Philip.
Mr. Chair, will it be okay to bring up the panel?
Yes, please do.
Thank you. How are you doing today? Okay.
Thanks.
Well, first, just let me say it's an honor to be here, Mr. Chair, to see my former subcommittee, pension subcommittee, but to be before all of you all at this moment. I come before you in reference to Senate Bill 6. As you stated, Senate Bill 6, Maryland Teachers and State Employees Supplemental Retirement Plans, Automatic Enrollment. And Mr. Chair, if I could be frank and be very honest, I thought about this subject matter, and I actually learned about this subject matter over the summer. And this came from reading a book. It was by Dorothy Brown. It was called Whiteness of Wealth. And it talked about the tax structure that we currently have set up, not just in the state of Maryland, but across the country, and how that benefits those that are significantly wealthy and being able to help create that gap that we see between the poor and the rich. And within the book, Dorothy Brown highlighted, first, one of them was your universe, your sphere, your circle of influence. Some of us, unfortunately, don't always have those folks that's next to us that can be able to say, hey, this is good for your future 20, 30 years from now. And that's a reality. But she also talked about the tax shelter and how that money accrues, compounds over a period of years, but those folks that aren't being able to utilize that tax shelter, we're also exacerbating that gap that currently exists, Mr. Chair. And I say this because I'm one of the fortunate ones. As you all know, I'm an electrician out of the IBW. I currently have a pension that I'll be able to benefit from probably within the next 15 years. And I also have an annuity, one of the other places where I have a strategic advantage of the tax structure. And I think about the IBW and the 2,000 members that belong to the IBW. We have 100% participation in our pension. So nobody sits aside from our pension. And within our annuity, we have 100% participation within that plan. This isn't what we're telling folks within Senate Bill 6. We're just saying, hey, let's automatically enroll, but you do have the option of removing yourself after a 90-day period to make sure that folks are thinking about what does that future look like 10, 15, 20 years from now. So, Mr. Chair, I'd just like to say, when given the opportunity to be able to partner on this issue, because I had just read about it, I jumped on it because I said that this is one of the ways that we help to decrease that gap that we see and have people take advantage of that tax shelter that we talk about, one of the tax shelters that we talk about. So thank you for this opportunity to be able to explain it, but more importantly, thank you for this opportunity to present on it.
All right, thank you, Senator. Your panel can go in any order that you deem fit, but as we move forward, we're going to ask everyone to keep your comments to 2 minutes. If you have written testimony, please do not read your written testimony. And
So, Chairman Jackson, members of the Pension Committee, good morning.
Good morning.
For the record, I'm Eloise Foster, and I am the chair of the Board of Trustees for the Maryland Supplemental Retirement Plans. And with me today are Rhonda Butler-Bell. Rhonda is our executive director, and also Deborah Roberts, who is our deputy executive director, and she's also our CFO. So I just want to start off by saying that we're here, obviously, to support Senate Bill 6. We want to thank Senator McCray for sponsoring this important legislation on our behalf. I would just say, as a member of the Board of Trustees, the other trustees and I are fiduciaries, and we have a duty, basically, to administer the supplemental plans and to do it in such a way that state employees will benefit. So toward that end, over the last several years, we've become aware of compelling industry research that really illustrates that there's a need in the public sector for employees to participate in supplemental savings retirement plans. I guess the beauty of these plans, as the senator said, is they basically help close the gap. And they help close the gap between what an employee would have received from their current savings plus what they would receive in a pension and with Social Security. Obviously, the earlier state employees start to save, the better off they'll be in the long run. This legislation, Senate Bill 6, is just so necessary because employees currently must elect to participate in this program. And for the most part, many state employees don't even know that they have the opportunity to receive this benefit. So authorizing state MSRP to automatically enroll newly hired state employees will be a significant and a very effective step in supporting and enhancing their future financial health. As the senator said, you know, the beauty of this also is that it enrolls the employee, but if that doesn't work for them, then basically they have 90 days to opt out. I'm going to turn it over to Rhonda. She's going to share with you some of the compelling industry research and data that shows a need for this important program. And thank you for allowing us to testify today.
thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. I am Rhonda Bell, the Executive Director of the Maryland Supplemental Retirement Plans. I thank you for the opportunity to present the factors that informed the Board and led to MSRP's position of full support for Senate Bill 6. The most recent data from September 2022 provided by MSRP's plan administrator revealed that 39% of currently eligible state employees are actively participating in the plans. National industry research is clear. A pension and Social Security alone will not be enough to meet the average state employee's retirement needs, and participation in a supplemental plan will help diminish the deficit caused by the absence of a regular salary. Key findings show that employees with the lowest salaries have the greatest outcomes from auto-enrollment, with an 82% increase in replacement income. 94% of public sector employees who were auto-enrolled remained in the plans, and public sector employees who were auto-enrolled have average contribution rates that are 13% higher than employees who were not auto-enrolled. Lastly, 62% of private sector plan sponsors use automatic enrollment, compared to 6.5% of public sector plans. So again, 62% in the private sector versus 6.5% in the public sector. This bill will have zero impact on employees hired before January 1st, 2024. State employees deserve the best possible retirement savings support that MSRP can provide. Authorizing automatic enrollment will provide our employees with lasting positive outcomes. I want to extend my thanks, special thanks, to the committee, to Senator McCray for his sponsorship of this bill, and I'm requesting that the committee submit a favorable report on Senate Bill 6. Ms. Roberts and I are happy to answer any questions that you might have. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Roberts, so you're not going to testify? You're here for questions?
I will just say thank you very much for the opportunity. I would also thank you, Senator McCray, for sponsoring us and providing this legislation, and I do hope that if you have any questions, we can answer them for you. Thank you very much.
Okay, I do have a couple of questions or comments. Should this piece of legislation pass, it's for the onboarding of employees beginning January 2024. Would this information be a part of the onboarding of your employees, orientation sessions, their understanding of this addition to their pension?
Yes, it would be, sir. It would be part of the onboarding process.
Okay. I think that's it right now. Senator Sullivan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to thank you for this bill. Being in the union for 31 years, I have a good understanding of the pensions and the things that they are doing. I'm getting ready to start getting some of my retirement where I work there. So, but just to say, automatically putting somebody in a system when they are employed, why are we waiting just to say 90 days if they want to be opt-out? Why that time? Is there a reason? I'd just like to know.
So 90-day opt-out is the time window that they have to opt out, and that is just the industry standard in the retirement industry for opt-out.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
May I add also that it is consistent with the IRS regulation?
And I think it's up to 90 days, so if they want to opt out prior to that time, they could do that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Seeing no more questions for this panel. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Madam Secretary, always great to see you.
Thank you.
And thank you all very much. Senator, we do have two, Shane, right? We have two folks testifying in opposition. Three. I'm sorry, we had three. All right, so I will call up Tony Whaley, Nathan Glassy, and Denise Gilmore. And you can go in any order that you'd like. We also, members, in your packet, you have a written unfavorable and some other testimony in your packet.
All right. Good morning, Chairman Jackson and the distinguished members of the Pension Subcommittee. My name is Nathan Glassy. I am the Executive Director of the National Tax Deferred Savings Association, which is part of the American Retirement Association. Our organization consists of over 30,000 members. 822 of them are in Maryland. The role of the NTSA is to provide high-quality education, technical support, and networking forums for all the professionals in the 403B and 457 industry. First of all, thank you to all of you for all that you do to take care of teachers in the state. We're grateful when legislators support those who do so much for the future of our country. In support of the teachers of Maryland, we do oppose Senate Bill 6 and find the following four significant issues with the bill. The first significant issue we find is that Maryland public employees are currently mandated to contribute 7% of their pay to the state defined benefit plan. Another 6.2% of pay is withheld from their pay to fund their Social Security benefit. Adding another automatic withholding obligation to fund a supplemental retirement plan could for many result in untenable reduction in take-home pay. The second significant issue that we find is that limiting automatic enrollment exclusively to the Maryland Supplemental Retirement Plan artificially constricts public employer plan choice and reduces or eliminates quality supplemental retirement plan products from the existing marketplace. The third significant issue that we find is that a mandate for automatic enrollment would require a default into a pre-tax or Roth option and would not provide the education that each participant needs to determine what tax options are best for their specific situation. And the fourth and final significant issue that we find is that mandating contributions into a specific product effectively eliminates the participant's access to an advisor of their choice. Many participants without the proper education leave their assets where they initially start, even if that is not the best option for them individually. Along with providing retirement education to each employee, we feel that preserving participant access to an advisor is vital to the success of each individual participant's retirement goals. We have solutions in mind, but of course, out of respect of your time, we are glad to answer questions or provide more support as you continue forward with the process. Thank you for your time.
All right, thank you. Any questions from the committee? Seeing no questions, next.
Good morning. I'm Tony Whaley. I am a local business owner and carrier in 6 of the counties. Our team works exclusively with Maryland educators. It is our career to help those who make it their career to help others. So with our over 45 years of experience working with teachers, we can unequivocally let you know that we are working hard every day to enlighten and to entertain or to educate these participants about their supplemental program. As Nate has already explained, they already participate in their pension and their Social Security, and how to then add an additional savings, which is very important to them. We completely agree that this is where they should be saving for their third leg of the stool. It is imperative that we allow them to make the choice and enter in with education in place. We educate first. We work with the benefits offices of the 6 counties that we are privileged to work in, and we attend the new teacher orientations. We educate them about their pension system. We educate them how Social Security will work into their life and their retirement income. And then we show them how they can gently increase as they go, and how that will absolutely serve them to have a 403B or 457B account at their disposal when they enter retirement. NTSA also provides a certified retirement education specialist designation, of which I hold, which provides the opportunity for me to be able to educate participants in the Maryland state system without regard to product. It's all regarding financial literacy. It's very important that we continue this and that we build what we're doing rather than replacing. So we do oppose, but we would like to see us enhance the marketing and education about what they currently have. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Ms. Gilmore.
Sure. Good morning, Mr. Chair and members of the Pensions Subcommittee. My name is Denise Gilmore, and I'm a legislative director with AFSCME Council 3. We represent 30,000 state and higher education employees across Maryland. Our position on this bill is favorable with amendments. I want to be clear that we wholeheartedly support the intent of this bill. A pension alone is not enough for our members oftentimes to retire. Our concern with the bill, however, is the approach that it takes. It sets an amount to be automatically deducted out of our members' checks that's yet to be determined. That's also the same amount regardless of what the income of that employee is. Hypothetically speaking, let's say down the line they set the amount at even $30 a pay period. That accumulates to over $700 a year. That's a decision between summer camp potentially for our lowest paid members, certainly. I think that if we do have concerns about how this all may be implemented as well. I think you heard the panel before say that many employees don't take advantage of the supplemental plan currently. We agree with that, but I would add, like during the onboarding process, the supplemental, and MSRP is invited to the onboarding process. So I'm not sure if this bill necessarily pursues the fix that would be required to make sure that even the ability to discontinue this at that point or lower that set of fee is going to be properly communicated to the employees. I think there are definitely, some provisions we can put in place to make sure that that communication would be more proper. And, we're very concerned about the impact that this is going to have on our certainly lowest paid employees. I think if we're looking to do any kind of auto deduction, we can look to, the other auto deduction on retirement that we already have in place, the pension system. And that, there are up to 3 spots on the board for employee representatives, including state employees and teachers. We certainly think that would be a better model to look to, set something like this up with. And, we would recommend an amendment to maybe study this first, bring in relevant stakeholders, including the exclusive representative, before we jump to an automatic deduction. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Gilmore. We look forward to looking at your amendment. And one of my questions to the previous panel was regarding the onboarding. So we will certainly take that into consideration. Any questions from Senator Bailey?
You might be able to answer this. Might have to go back to the. So you say there is no minimum contribution. When I was there, you were allowed to make if you is so elected to enroll, it was $15 every 2 weeks. And the advantage that I saw from that was at the end of your career, then for the length of time that you were enrolled, you could go back and participate, and that allowed you your catch-up provision for the amount of time that you'd been enrolled, right? And so I think on the, just looking at it for people, because so many people didn't know when they first signed up what a good idea it would have been to have it, right? So I saw a lot of my colleagues that were taking advantage of that down the road. If they'd done just that $15 early on, it would have put them in a lot different situation. But getting to my question, you think that, does your amendment address the minimum amount of money?
What our amendment proposes is that we would, study this first. I think that it's important to include the employee's exclusive representative in these conversations. I mean, again, looking at the state retirement and pension system, the employees have a voice on that board. There is no employee voice on the supplemental plan board. And, in order for, there to be oversight coming from the perspective of employees if they're making this investment, I think that's something that would be critical for us to be more comfortable with.
And the other question that I had is that you have 90 days to opt out of the plan. If in fact you waited 100 days, you couldn't opt out of the plan? Is that the way you understand this?
That's the way I understand the legislation. I think I know this, subcommittee is somewhat familiar with this. We have had issues using the example of, for instance, the recent transfers that we made with some classifications into the CORS, the Correctional Officer Retirement System. a lot of communication has to happen at the time that an employee receives that paperwork to make that transfer into the plan actually happen. And I know even with recent experiences, that communication isn't always that great. And so certainly we would be concerned that, you know, at the time of onboarding, an employee would get as you do, you get a ton of paperwork, right? This is an, automatic deduction that starts. You don't really notice it. And then, all of a sudden you're stuck, obviously, with a deduction that you can, maybe not afford.
And I'm sure from the previous panel, though, they probably hear all the time people that are retiring that go, man, if somebody would have explained this to me a little bit better when I first was doing this, 30 years ago, wow, look how different it would be. So I think I appreciate it. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Senator Bailey. And thank you for the panel. Any other questions?
Yes, thank you very much.
Senator Benson.
I'm an educator by profession. I take great pride in saying that. At one point in time, in the great state of Maryland, we had the best retirement system in the nation. We were number one. We ended up by dismantling that retirement system, and we ended up with the pension system. And we knew when this was arranged that it was going to be a problem for educators and people. The pension system is a problem. There's no earthly way that anybody can retire after 30 years under the pension system. It's terrible. They'd have to go get a second or third job. The question I want to ask, this whole issue of the retirement pension system needs to be looked at. It is in serious need of repair. It's unbelievable. It really is. I'm in the old retirement system, which is outstanding. It is just wonderful. But after a period of time, right now, people who come into the school system cannot be a part of that old retirement system. Now, the question I want to ask, I heard you say something about 7%. Could you go back and talk to us a little bit about that 7% that you mentioned?
Of course, yeah. So currently in the state pension plan, it is a 7% contribution rate that is for each participant. It's mandatory. So they're currently contributing that 7% plus a 6.2% in Social Security. And we're not saying that we don't want participants to contribute. What we're wanting is someone to be able to educate them as to how much they can contribute and where they should work, and that's where companies like Tony's here come in and are able to provide that education so they know, okay, I'm already contributing 7% and 6.2%. Where does there's going to be a gap, as we agree there's a major gap in the pension system. How can I work towards retirement? What's best for me? Dropping a dollar amount or a percentage in automatically can be a support and can be help. But you need someone like a Tony, an advisor, someone who can come in and help them understand this is what I'm missing, and this is how I can grow from that amount to get that final gap taken care of. So that's the 7% is what's currently required by the state pension plan.
Thank you.
Of course. Thank you. And that will conclude our hearing. Ms. Whaley, I'm not sure if we have any written testimony from you, but feel free if you want to submit any documentation for us as we proceed through this process. Thank you all for testifying today. This concludes Senate Bill 6, the hearing for Senate Bill 6. Next, we will have Senate Bill 82. Senator Mounts, come on up. Feel free to bring up your panel. Correctional Officers Retirement System, Talbot County. And as we're getting set up, members of the committee, we're on the floor at 11 o'clock today. Stay tuned and in touch with your emails as the committee meetings will be bi-weekly. The times will fluctuate. 9:30 is a gimme today. So don't get used to that. So, all right. Senator Mounts, you're on. Good. Welcome to the Senate, sir.
Good morning, and thank you for the opportunity this morning to present SB 82. Johnny Mounts, District 37, Talbot, Caroline, Dorchester, Wacomico, for the record. Senate Bill 82 may be familiar. I want to thank the committee. Last year, this bill was approved. It was late introduced, and it was run through. It was approved unanimously. The legislation would allow or authorize Talbot County local detention center officers to participate in the Correctional Officers Retirement System, often referred to as CORS. This bill is identical to the bill that was introduced last year. This bill is a priority for Talbot County. We have a letter of support from Talbot County. There isn't a whole lot, I think, for me to add other than to express my appreciation for all of our corrections officers who have had a heck of a time and that are hanging in there, and to also thank our Director of Corrections, Terry Kokolas, who's going to testify on behalf of the bill, and also to thank his deputy, Chris Tyler, who journeyed over this morning to be here to answer any specific questions. Now, the bill was introduced late last year. It just came up, and I happen to be the delegate who failed to produce this bill in the House of Delegates last year. And I've had a lot of conversations with myself, and I promised myself that wouldn't happen again. So thank you for the opportunity. I urge your favorable support, and it's my honor to, should I introduce my witness?
You can, but we're going to ask him to do
Well,
that as well,
yeah.
for the record.
So that concludes my statement.
Right.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you,
Chairman.
Senator. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Mounts. Always good to see you, Chairman Jackson.
Yes, sir.
And members of the committee. It's good to be here. I'm Terry Kokolas. I am Director of Corrections for Talbot County Department of Corrections, located in Easton, Maryland. I represent the 51 members of my department who unanimously support Senate Bill 82. This is a local bill providing direct benefit to correctional staff and who work behind the walls in Talbot County. It is supported by the County Council, who unanimously supported the bill 2 years in a row. Correctional officer is the primary position all jurisdictions are recruiting and the intent to retain. Working as an officer is inherently dangerous on many levels, and improved retirement is just one benefit to counterbalance today's changing paradigm of keeping an inmate population safe. The greatest concern is the level of stress exasperated by working shift work with challenging inmates, prone to agitation, substance abuse, along with increased number of inmates exhibiting both medicated and unmedicated mental health conditions. Senate Bill 82 can contribute the support necessary to prioritize a safe jail operation by supporting the retention and continued employment of an experienced and well-trained workforce. It will significantly decrease turnover rates and, equally important, provide an important opportunity for staff to commit and make Talbot County a career choice. Simply put, it provides one more reasons to stay. As a point of reference, Talbot County lost 8 officers since July 1st of 2023 to other jurisdictions that have pension systems more geared to what CORS operates or what other local counties have as their own dedicated pension systems. In closing, each of your counties has a local jail, and most are experiencing staff shortages, so providing a better retirement opportunity is key to retaining experience. And I'm familiar with each one of the wardens in each one of your counties, and none of them are full-staffed. Talbot County Council agrees and has unanimously approved our application. This legislation is needed to permit transfer from the general employees retirement plan within the Maryland State Retirement System to the Correctional Officer Retirement System, which is also noted as CORS. I think the contribution percentages stay relatively the same. The difference is it decreases the amount of time necessary to qualify from 38 to 39-year multiplier to age 90 to a 25-year dedicated pension plan for correctional officers. I strongly request favorable support for Senate Bill 82, and I thank Senator Mounts for making this his first bill as a senator representing our area.
All right, and look, again, always great to see you. I've had the pleasure over the years to work with the Maryland Association of Correctional Administrators, Maryland Correctional Association Administration Association. Look, this is something that we've been combating for a while. This is my 9th year in the General Assembly, and I've been a proud participant in enhancing the retirement opportunities and the retention efforts with the organizations in public safety, particularly in corrections. So thank you. As you mentioned, this committee supported you last year under the leadership, the great leadership of the next speaker, Senator Alford.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This might be a question for Philip or Ann, but I'm now a veteran of the subcommittee, so I've seen a couple of these bills come through, particularly from the shore. I'm just curious who's in and who's out, and should we be looking in the future years to other counties wanting to join as well?
I can respond. The Eastern Shore is kind of a bifurcated area of multiple different systems because Worcester and Wycomico have a dedicated pension system that includes their county employees, as do most counties on the Western Shore. Queen Anne's County and Kent County are both members of CORS, and they both entered CORS by this process. Caroline County and Dorchester County are not part of CORS, but they are part of this Maryland State retirement system. And I'm not sure about Somerset County, but I think they're also part of the Maryland retirement system and not CORS.
That's very helpful.
The entire state, all counties in Baltimore City, which is really under DPSES, have different pension systems for public safety employees, most of which cover corrections as public safety employees. Some are a little different, but there's some consistency, more consistency on the Western Shore than on the Eastern Shore.
That's helpful context. I just wanted to understand who's in and out of CORS, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Thank you. Any other questions from the committee? Thank you. Always great to see you. Senator Mounts, first bill up. We already passed it last year, so we're not going to give you a pass on that. So you got to come up with another bill in the Senate. This is going to pass anyway. So, anyway.
I warned Director Kirkolas. I explained that this is my first bill. I have no idea what's waiting for me.
No, you're good. You're good, and it's worth roll calls, and so we can use that help on the House side. So
we'll work it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you all.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you. Safe travels. This concludes our hearings for today. Senate Bill 82, Senate Bill 6, and Senate Bill 68. And again, members, check your emails for the time in 2 weeks for our next meeting. So.
I want to apologize for being a little bit late. I had to meet with my magnet school here, class that's here today, and they were late. So I was late, and I apologize.
All right, not a problem, not a problem.
We'll come back and vote?
Every 2 weeks, yes, ma'am. We will set the hearings for we will stay tuned for the hearing dates as well. This is our first hearing, and once.
Yeah, we've got a listing of the hearing dates, but I was just wondering, when do we vote?
So once you have bills that have been heard each week, so going forward, you'll have hearings and discussion and voting at each meeting?
So you all will keep us informed?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right, that's it.